this neat little card that I've seen pictures of on people's blogs that went to regional training for Stampin' Up. I unfortunately didn't go this year, but I've seen photos of this really great card that they did in the make and take sessions, and I wanted to share a video tutorial on how I make the card without the instructions. I've made some up on my own. I'm pretty sure it's close to what the girls got in their make and take. So this little guy is a birthday card for one of my son's friends on the weekend, and basically just opens up like that. It's really quite cute, and I just love this closure. I've made a couple of them. There are more posts on my blog at www.stampingtea.com.au with a couple of other examples, and I want to make another one today and show you actually how I do it. So this is to make a standard Australian card, size card. So we start with a A5 piece of cardstock, which is half of our A4 cardstock reams that we get. Basically cut it at 5 7/8, and then put 2 score lines down at 2 1/16 on both edges. So just quickly going to do that for you, and this makes our standard 4 1/8 wide card, so it fits in our standard envelopes. So once you do that, all you have to do is fold these flaps down, and you can see I've already started stamping a bit of a greeting on this one to get us a bit of a head start so it doesn't take me too long today. Now, oh, that's a bit wonky, but I was going to say, don't worry if it's too wonky, we can fix this up. That's cool. Because you put a little bit of a trim down the center of the card, and it covers that. Okay, happier with that. Very good. Okay, so the mechanism for the card can be made in whatever sort of punch combination that you like, and I've done a few. You see this one is done with this is a 2.5 inch circle and the 1 3/4 inch circles. The one I'm going to do today uses one of the little doily patterns out of the Perfect Pennants die, which I have here. You can see I've used these quite a bit. I've yet to make a pennant out of it, but these are fabulous little shapes. So I've made another one, another card, which I'll show you at the end using the other doily from there. So basically it uses that and the 1 3/4 inch punch. So you can make the closure however you like, but as long as you've got 2 interconnecting punches, I suppose, is what, and the circles seem to work really well. So I'm just going to quickly decorate the middle of this card like I've done with this one, with a little bit of a banner. For this one though, I've used the lace border punch, punched out a piece of rose red cardstock, cut it in half. I've got, this is River Rock by the way, I've got some designer series paper in the not quite navy, and I'm just going to really quickly, which I've already put some sticky strip on the back of to save time, I'm just going to really quickly put a trim. Probably should have decided where I wanted my trim to be before I started videoing, but we'll work through it. I'm just going to put a bit of trim down each side of those banner pieces. Now I've got to make sure I do it the same on both sides. Oh, the pressure. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Never really happy. Then I just pop the banner pieces back in a little paper cutter and trim the edges off. And the same with the top, trim the top off. So I've got nice neat banners for the front of my card. Do the same with the other one. Now you could omit this little bit down the centre if you want to, and you can just put a closure straight on your card. You don't have to put these little banners on, but I think they do actually look quite neat. So I've got them there for the front of my card. So I always make sure if your centres of your card does overlap a little bit, it's actually not a problem. I just make sure that the right hand side is the one that sits on the top, and so when I stick my banner on, I take into account where that overlap is and just join my banner up, taking that into account. So let me just put a bit of snail on this one and a bit of snail on the other one. Okay, so we'll start by putting the right hand side one on first. Strange, I know, but I like to work upside down, so I'm going to do that, guys. Get that one out of the way. Lining it up with the top edge and the inside edge like that. Sticking it down. And then when I stick the other one on, I close the card up and use that as my guide as to where to put the matching banner. So just stick it on. So when it's closed, it looks like one piece, like that. And you can see that I've matched up my designer series paper in the center, and if it hangs over at the top at all, you can just trim those off, but mine doesn't this time, which is lovely. Okay, so on to the closure mechanism for the card. To make sure I put the hole in the center of this doily, and it looks really quite neat. When you put it just straight through your punch, you can't really see what you're doing. So what I do is just take a bit of a post-it note that you've got laying around, punch yourself out, circle, and that worked well, didn't it? So let's trim that up a little bit so that it doesn't look so bad. Right, and then I use that as my template and pop that in the center of my doily, so that now I know when I put my doily in and I can't really see the edges, see they're all hidden inside the punch, I at least know that if I line up my punch right over that post-it note cutout, that when I punch, it's going to be right in the center of my doily, which is what I wanted, which is fabulous. Okay, and then you might have a bit of overshot like I did because I didn't punch out my post-it note very neatly first time round. Okay, so then what you want to do is attach this circle to your card front, but you only want to do it on one side. Still got post-it note there. Anyway, I'll tidy it up later. Okay, so what you want to do is flip it over to the back and then put a little bit, I find Tombow glue is the best, and only do it halfway round the circle because of course you're only gluing half of it down. So glue it around just half the circle, put it closed and make sure you've got your center points lined up, and decide where you'd like your closure to sort of rest. I'm thinking there, looks good. And then you've only got that edge there that's going to stick down. So that side sticks, and then hopefully it just sticks to the one rim like that. And then because we use the 1 3/4 inch circle to punch the hole in that, our insert has to be 1 3/4 inches. So I've just got a piece of cardstock here. I'm going to use some not quite navy ink to ink up some butterflies onto some cardstock. Voila! Use my 1 3/4 inch circle punch to punch that out now, like that. And then this shape now fits inside of there, like that. And again, we only want it to stick onto one edge. Now, I find that with these movement cards and anything that has got a little bit of pressure on it for a closure or anything like that, I always like to put it down with sticky strip, because people, when they get movement cards, often will open and close them a few hundred times. Well, I do anyway, just to see how they all work and fun to show people. So you don't want it falling apart on you or the recipient once they start playing with it. So a couple of strips of sticky strip is all that's really required. And I like to do this all with the card closed. So I've got sticky strip on this side now. If you've got a greeting or a image that has a right way up and down, like this little guy, you're going to make sure that he's placed on nice and squarely. My butterflies, they don't really matter so much, so I'm just going to roughly put them in the center, pushing down on that side. Now when you first do it, it's hard to get it open because you've sort of stuck it on the top of that little edge, but once you unclick that, it'll open up. Now you'll put a nice piece of white paper in there to write your message on, and you just thread them back together and they click down and lay flat. Now that guy needs a butterfly to finish, so I'm just going to show you how I finish this card with a little embosslet butterfly in the rose red, little mini glue dot on the back of him. And I'm just going to put, they stick out a little bit, so I like to fold that yucky glue over. I'm going to stick him right in the middle. Okay, so Oh, now it's not going to stick down. If you want to just give it a bit of a push, it'll sort of click in under that extra rim on the other side. So that's the one I've just made then, which I just love. This is the little round, just a plain circle if you're doing it for boys. And I'm just getting up. Sorry guys, I should have put this one a bit closer. I just want to show you that you also can do it with non-standard card sizes. So you don't have to use just the standard one. The closure mechanism works exactly the same however big your card is. This one is just a 4x4 finished card. So I've actually cut it 4x8 inches and scored at 2 and 6. So the exact same mechanism as before. I've used the other doily pattern off of the Perfect Planets die, and it creates a little 4x4 gift card. So have fun with that closure. Try different combinations of punches, and like me, I looked at it and thought that looks really complicated, but actually it's really quite straightforward. So have a look on my blog. I'll have more examples of this type of closure. Have fun guys. Bye.